Hey there, it's me, Miranda, and I have a special guest with me today. This is my pet fish, Ollie. Ollie and I are so thrilled to talk to you all about our favorite chapters of the Lucy text that we read this semester and can't wait to share our thoughts. So, let's get started. First, I'm going to discuss Chapter 21 of Effective Elementary Social Studies, 7th edition. This chapter discusses integrating other subjects into social studies. First, teachers can use a broad range of music to enhance social studies. Such songs may help students memorize the states and capitals or develop patriotic feelings toward their state and nation. Hey Ollie, remember singing America the Beautiful and the Star-Spangled Banner in school? Yeah, me too. Art is another subject you can integrate into social studies. Teachers should give students the opportunity to use art materials such as markers, crayons, construction paper, finger paints, and clay as part of a social studies instruction. When we use such art activities in social studies, it is important to remember that the focus is on achieving a deeper understanding and appreciation of social studies content. Dramatic activities are another avenue you can take with integrating social studies in the classroom. This includes play, skits, role play, dance, and puppetry. According to the text, emotional experiences are long remembered and students will appreciate the opportunity to express their feelings in the class. You can also integrate writing, reading, and math into the social studies curriculum. Moving on to Chapter 17 of Effective Elementary Social Studies, 7th edition. This chapter discusses diversity and culturally responsive social studies instruction. This chapter highlights the fact that when we talk about culturally responsive teaching, we are not talking about sex, skin color, or other physical characteristics. We are talking about the social relationships and power structures. While reading this chapter, Ollie and I were wondering what culturally responsiveness looks like in the classroom. Culturally responsiveness is a celebration of the learner as the center of all educational decisions. It is understanding and reflecting on your own culture as much as other cultures in your class. It is an exploration of how cultural perspectives, experiences, and histories shape, divide, and bring together members of the school community. Lastly, culturally responsiveness is the integration of difference in all aspects of education by valuing and drawing on students' unique experiences and their ways of perceiving, knowing, and doing. When thinking about culturally responsive social studies instruction, some important questions teachers should ask themselves are: am I looking forward to learning about my students' home cultures? What if those homes are very different from my experiences? What steps can I take to make my class and learning positive experiences for my students? Ollie and I saved the best for last, Chapter 9. Chapter 9 of the Lucy text discussed history as the root of knowledge. It's important to note that people interpret the past differently based on their relationships to the events, available sources of information, and their personal and social biases. History content receives less explicit coverage in elementary schools than in the past. Growing up, I remember social studies was strictly taught through a textbook. As stated in the text, the discussion of textbooks and history illustrates the notion of thick and thin conceptions of history. A thin view of history consists of limited, one-dimensional interpretation. Teachers commonly convey this view through traditional text-based instruction. Sound familiar, Ollie? Yeah, I thought so too. On the other hand, a thick view of history provides a holistic view that takes into account a variety of perspectives and evidence sources. The problem with a thin view of history lies in its subjectivity and potential for biased accounts that do not consider all information sources. This reminded me of the dangers of a single story. A single story gives students one-sided viewpoints, biases, and unheard stories. As teachers, we should help students see that the danger of a single story lies not in reference to a different perception of facts, but in reference to the stories and storytellers' legitimacy and authenticity. In doing so, it opens up conversations about the ways in which history is a composite of stories, some true, some not, some unheard or silent, and some silenced by those in power. As stated in the text, a social studies teacher should acknowledge the depth of history content and the variety of sources that may be utilized. Doing so involves discussing and presenting history as interpretation rather than a fact. Overall, a good history can and should include a variety of perspectives on studied events and should therefore provide a multicultural interpretation. Well, guys, that's all Ollie and I have for you today. Thanks for watching our video.